Brand new one from SugarHill Records, Hits from the Hill, Volume 1 and 2. Some amazing music that was recorded right here in Houston at the historic SugarHill Recording Studios. And in the studio with us here at Kpft, Mr. Andy Bradley, who is the chief engineer over at SugarHill and has been for 28 years.
Yeah.
Been a long time.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's talk about your history for a little bit. You, I read that you back in the 70s were a roadie for some rock and roll bands in Australia. Is that correct?
I worked for a lot of rock bands that nobody will ever hear about, and I also did some tours with Radio Birdman, AC/DC, Little River Band, Air Supply, and got a lot of friends in a group called Rose Tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
We used to go on tour with. I worked with another band called the Hitmen. I worked with the Saints. All kinds of interesting bands. Working with Radio Birdman is one of the highlights of my life because they're all very dear friends of mine, and that's quite a legendary band.
Sure. And you wrote for Rolling Stone magazine and a couple things.
I wrote for Juke magazine, Rolling Stone, for another magazine called Ram. Did a bunch of writing there, and eventually moved here in 1980 to Houston. And my first studio thing was at a place called ACA Recording Studios, another legendary studio which doesn't exist any longer, owned by Bill Holford.
He was a major mentor of yours.
Very much a major mentor. I learned so much about the music business from him, so I worked for him from 80 to 84. When Bill decided to retire, I found out that Huey Moe really had no engineering staff left at SugarHill, so I made him an offer that I would move me and my client base over to SugarHill, which was around October 84, and made a deal with him. And then within 2 years, he had sold the studio to a company called Modern Music Ventures Incorporated, which was kind of a Latin label-based entrepreneurship that was trying to get into the music business. I worked for them for 10 years, and in 1996, Dan Workman had been a very dear friend of mine well over the years. I recorded his band called Culture Side back at ACA in the early 80s and also at SugarHill later on. So we decided to form a partnership called RAD Audio, stands for Rodney, Andy, and Dan. Rodney Myers, myself, and Dan Workman, and we bought the studio in 1996. So this is year 15 for us, year 70 for the studio. As far as we know, the 70th anniversary of the studio, we are the oldest surviving operating studio in the United States.
And I think you said it was the second one,
and possibly second in the world, only to Abbey Road.
Amazing.
And there's other studios that have had 10 years of monumental hits cut them. Mm-hmm. But what studio has hits cut from 1946 all the way into the current into 2000, 2001, 2002? There's been a hit record cut there in every decade. And I don't think they're outside of Abbey Road, I don't think any other studio can claim that.
Amazing.
And it's just a fun place to walk in and work when you know the history.
Sure. And once again, you did write a book about the entire studio called House of Hits, and you co-wrote that with
Roger Wood
from right here in Houston, and some amazing stuff. And you can pick that up online or around town. And where can you find out more about the CD and the book online?
The 70th anniversary show will be on December 4th at the Continental Club from 2 to 6.
Okay.
There is no charge to come in. It's a big party and celebration. The Continental Club folks are wonderful people. They're our friends. They said, come and have your show at our place. And so we're going to have some of the people that are on the CD will play the show. And it's just a big party. We encourage you all to come. The CD will be available there for sale. The book will also be available there for sale. Eventually, you'll be able to buy it. You can get it online now. If you go to SugarHill Records, it's available online already. Mm-hmm. And go to iTunes or whatever, and look for Hits from the Hill. And then we're going to have a lot of fun. And after that, it's going to be available at Cactus Records, at Sig's Lagoon, and those sorts of places.
All right. And we talked a minute ago about the John Evans cut. Anything else we need to say about this?
John is one of the dear friends of the studio. He has done a lot of recording with at the studio. He's done a lot of recording with Steve Christensen, one of our engineers, on location, and he was the perfect person to hand a Freddie Fender song and say, "Do something interesting, John." And here it is, John Evans' band version of "Wasted Days and Wasted Nights."